What is going on? This is your girl Pam with 20 Taps. Listen, our last guest was the amazing Taya Kyle. And if my guest that I'm looking at right now didn't know that, we just had Taya Kyle on my last episode. Chris Kyle's,
Really?
yeah, Chris Kyle's widow. We just had her
How the
on.
hell'd you pull that one off?
Mutual friend, man. It was pretty sweet. It was pretty fucking
That's
sweet.
awesome. Yeah,
It was
fucking
pretty sweet,
killer.
man. And, you know, she inspired me to really look into like the mental health aspect. And she said something compelling. She said, you know, if we can celebrate people in the military, their fitness wins, why can't we celebrate their mental health? And it got me, and I was like, you know what, man? She's got me thinking. And there's this stuff I want to do, and I'll tell you about it later. Because it's some big news. And I'll let you know on this towards the end. But for my listeners, I have a really special guest today. I was actually stationed with this guy back in 2007. We were kind of just catching up before we hit record. And Claude, his name's Claude Morrissey. And if you saw him, you would probably want to like run the other way because he's like six. How tall are you, Claude? Like six?
6'4". I'm 6'4" and a half. If you're counting it for weigh-ins and stuff. But now I'm sitting about 305. I got on the scale the other day, and I'm like, I watched on the scale at the doctor's office, and everybody's looking like, man, that guy's a fat ass. So, retirement's been good. Let's say that. Let's say that.
Well, now that we know his specs, Claude was actually a rescue swimmer with the Coast Guard. And when I was transitioning from the boat side to aviation side for my brief little stint, I met him. We were stationed in Cape Cod. He was a rescue swimmer there. I was an airman. And this dude is like, I think you're a legend. Like, if you know the name Claude Morrissey, like, you just know Claude. Like, everybody knows you. And if you don't know him, like, you've probably seen him on Coast Guard Alaska. Like, the dude's more famous than Ashton Kutcher at this point. Like, he's the legit rescue swimmer.
Thank you. I've never been introduced like that, but I hope I live up to it.
Well, I got to make it sound good, man. Yeah. We got to keep the listeners, engaged. But I'm serious
awesome.
When I say that. Like, you fucking.
I'll sell you some commercials. That's what I'm into.
Yeah?
I want to sell you some commercials.
Let's do
you gotta
it.
have some sponsors, man. Who are your sponsors?
I have no sponsors, but if you want to be my first, let's talk. Because I think it'd be pretty freaking awesome. I'm serious, man.
Yeah, I tell you what. I don't know how much marketing for tree work nationwide, but I've been getting into the podcast a lot past week, and you get that long, boring music on the radio. It's the same loop, whether it's Apple or wherever. So I'm listening to the podcast, and it's kind of awesome. And when you kind of threw this out, I was like, yeah, let me do it. And then I kind of like didn't forget, but I run a business, so my head's always 100 miles an hour, and when you call them, like, oh yeah, so here we are. It's awesome. I didn't realize you're so big. I feel like I'm a tiny person compared to this big thing you got going on here.
Well, I'm really not big, but my guests and my listeners, we're in 15 different countries, man. And and I haven't really. I've been in school, so it's been hard to promote it and stuff. Like I said, I have no sponsors. I haven't made a penny off of this. Because what's important to me is sharing the stories, right? And because somebody needs to hear these stories. That in and of itself, and yes, I want to make a living down the road with this. So, if you're out there listening, I could use some sponsors. But
hey, listen, Joe Rogan's podcast is pretty, you just got to get a couple, just get it out there. As long as you just got to put your call up, like, hey, I need some money. Give me some money,
Just like that. You could be my.
I'll do it. I used to shake down Al Roker's production, man. I'd be up there up in Kodiak, and I'd be like, hey, listen, MWR needs some like video for like a grant they're trying to get. I'm like, gotta go film this. It's not our job. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna video, so I go on like a little strike. This poor guy Tom would get so mad at me. He's like, you can't strike. I'm like, oh, I can strike. I'm part of the Screen Actors Guild. He's like, what does that even mean?
SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah, but I wasn't nothing like that. But they were always. I mean, them guys were awesome. So,
Al Roker.
Yeah, they got get sponsors.
Yeah, man. So. Well, now that I know you have the ends with Al, we may have to send him a letter or.
I'll go shake that guy down if you want me to. I will. I'll be like, hey, you got to support the veterans, especially being a veteran. You should be like going to these companies and just be like, hey, throw me some free swag, give me some money. I got to.
Dude, you're retired. I'm full-time student. I think you're gonna have. Well, you run a full-time business, But maybe one of your kids can like, do it for me or for us or something. Oh, we got to team up, man. This would be
I got a
fun.
marketing. I got a marketing kid that you'd be loved. And I got a couple kids I've run across, through the military and stuff. And this kid could be helping you out. I'm going to throw him on there. I'm going to throw him your way. So
Yes.
got to have it in marketing. I got marketing people. It's like one guy. It works.
I know. I'm like, I got people and it's just me. But hey, it works for sure.
I know.
Well, hey, man.
Is my lighting okay and everything?
Dude,
Am I okay? Can
you
you
look,
see me?
you look sexy as hell. You're good.
My head is just filling this whole thing up. I'm like, I should have shaved, But I gotta go to work at EMS tomorrow night for a part-time shift, and I usually shave, cut my hair. Like that keeps me the only thing. I would have a beard if I wasn't working at EMS, So, but as a medic, I still like doing it. I still like being a medic, which is kind of weird.
Well, you're good at it. You're pretty good at it.
I think I am. I'm a lifesaver, heartbreaker. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, God.
But,
oh man. Well, shit.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you're still with us, thank you. It's just we haven't seen each other in freaking 12 years, like physically seen each other. But it's
but you pick up right where you left off.
Exactly. I mean, we partied together, but like you were on the straight and narrow. You're like, no drinks for me. We're gonna chill out.
I don't drink, but I was crazy. Hey, I was crazy all you assholes combined. When I was drinking. When I wasn't drinking, I still don't drink, which is kind of funny. It's kind of funny. I went the other week. I'm like at the exchange up there in Chesapeake. I'm like, I'm gonna get something to drink. So I'm like, my wife wasn't with me. My kid was with me. Petey's like, I'm gonna get some Malibu. He goes, what the hell is wrong? It's like a topper, Dad. It's like not even a drink. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'm gonna drink some Malibu. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What the hell am I like? What am I like? Some 60-year-old woman that's going through, trying to get 20-year-old guys. So I got some Jack Daniels instead. My kid was breaking my trust. 17-year-old knows more how to drink than me.
Oh my God.
But anyway, that's my story.
I love it.
Don't be buying Malibu. I'm not some chick on the rebound,
Hey,
so.
But if Malibu's listening, we could use sponsors, and we have a grown-ass man that'd be more than happy to promote for you.
We can get you some sponsors. I'll get you some sponsors, especially a veteran-run business. All you gotta do is say you're a veteran. People, they want to help veterans. That's what's awesome.
Yeah.
Most people, which is like you said about the mental health, they want to help veterans. The VA wants to help you. It's just that we got very terrible politicians that don't want to help the VA to help us. So it's not entirely VA's fault, So
yeah, they get a bad rap.
I'm not sure where you're at in your process with the VA, but I'm getting pretty good care where I'm at. But I'm also on probably the biggest area for veterans in the United States, maybe the world. So
where are you? You
said
Chesapeake.
Well, I'm in North Carolina, but we roll up within the Hampton Roads. So you figure that's the biggest Navy base in the world. So where they're going to put the funds, right where I'm at, which is awesome.
Hell yeah.
Where you at? Texas? You're at DFW.
Yeah, DFW. I'm in Grapevine.
Dallas.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, man.
You go listen to Pantera a lot?
Actually,
go visit Dimebag.
Well, the school I go to, believe it or not, used to be the Dallas Sound Lab, and Pantera recorded there all the time. So
get out!
I swear, one of my instructors engineered the Far Beyond Driven album. It's freaking amazing.
Get the hell out of here!
I'm serious, dude.
Oh my God.
I'm dead serious.
You're killing it.
I'm
killing it. You're hanging out. Man, I'm so jealous right now.
I'm
gonna come visit you.
Come visit, dude. The school Stevie Ray Vaughan recorded there and shit, like Pantera.
Really?
Yeah. Well, the original school they had to move locations because it got flooded, but it's still the same platinum records. Elton John's piano's there. I mean, the Beach Boys. I'm serious. And I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. Like it's there, dude.
Yeah.
So
I'm coming.
I got trained by those guys on how to do my engineering and music. It's really fucking cool.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You're still full time, right?
Yeah, I graduated with my associates in recording arts recently, and now I'm in film to do film. So.
Hey, you can't see my text messages come up, can you?
No.
Are you my Snap-on tool guy? I think my Snap-on tool guy wants to have an affair. He's like, I'll be home at 7:40. I'm like,
what?
It calls the tool man. I'm like, I hope she's not seeing this shit. They're gonna think I'm, hooking up with this Snap-on dude.
Oh, you mean right now, like on Zoom?
Yeah, I'm like, thank God. Anyway, I was like all
No,
embarrassed and shit.
no, man. Two totally different
Anyway,
platforms.
I
But
thought you could see the message. I was like, man,
no,
like, this
no.
guy's stalking me. But,
No,
yeah.
but if you're listening out there, this is being recorded. I'm starting to record my Zoom calls. It'll be on the YouTube channel for 2,200 taps, so you'll get to see Claude's pretty face, and you get to see the glare off my freaking
My
glasses because I'm
receding,
getting old.
my receding hairline.
Stop it! You look good. You still got it.
I'm trying. So, but,
Well, cool. Well, let's just dive in. How shall we? So I
dude,
wanted to, huh? Oh,
what's that?
oh, there's got to be okay. So there's a little delay. It's okay. No, I wanted to dive into your story specifically. I saw it come across the feed. First, it was Sarah Faulkner's, one of our rescue swimmer sisters,
Yeah,
and then it was you. And I'm like, wait, Claude? Like, what the fuck happened to Claude? Because I hadn't seen you in forever. And
yeah. That's kind of what happened.
I
I
read the
just,
article, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So
yeah,
for my listeners, this episode is going to be very interesting, but this guy means the world to me. Any of my veteran brothers and sisters that go through some crazy madness the way this man did, you guys will have a platform forever here on the show. So,
thank you.
yeah, you guys, your voice needs to be heard because as much as I love the Coast Guard, what it did for me, there was a lot of shitty parts of it that, like we saw, you know?
Yeah. So the Coast Guard is 99.99999. You got a better chance of catching Corona, COVID virus, COVID. I'm a terrible, but you got a better chance of having a bad experience in the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard's awesome. The Coast Guard is, and I think you'll agree with me. They're out, but if you catch that 0.00001% of people, it could be terrible for you. So
And we're so small
all I
that
can say.
whatever happens will follow you.
Oh yeah,
Like that shit
oh yeah, yeah.
follows you.
Well, it didn't follow me. I burned the bridges. I not only burned the bridges, I set them on fire, made sure they floated away and everything,
Well, fuck,
So,
man.
but
So
yeah,
what happened, man? So we kind of went our separate ways in 2008. You went to
yeah,
Alaska.
yep,
That's the last I really saw of you was on Coast Guard Alaska. So what happened
yeah.
after all that?
So along the way, I was with my wife and everything was great until it wasn't good anymore. We went to Alaska, grew our family by. We had my son, we had my daughter. Got my daughter in Massachusetts, went to Alaska. We had another baby in Alaska in 13. Came back. We adopted my daughter's brother, Cameron, in 14. So family of four, chugging in through Elizabeth City, which was awesome. Air Station Elizabeth City, one of the best air stations. Next to everyone I've been at, but wanted to make chief, made chief, right? Studied, made chief. And I came across a bunch of what you call assholes, in lack of a better terms. The master chiefs at the schoolhouse at ATT Elizabeth City, along with the commander, are nothing but self-serving douchebags. One's actually in. He's down in Hitron. His name is Tim Schmitz. He's TJ Schmitz. He is the biggest tool bag. Like, I'm not going to, like, I talk to people. He has done more damage to the Coast Guard, and he's an Army pilot, which is really weird. Because usually they're pretty good, but he's still at Hitron running people, which is amazing. How the Coast Guard has allowed him. This douchebag will probably make captain, but he is 100. He went to. I'm going to get ahead of myself here. He's such a moron. He's the only reason after my summary of court martial that I stayed at chief, because this guy is such a moron on the stand. You know what I mean? But we'll get to that because I love bashing him. I love bashing officers. I really love bashing officers because
Who doesn't?
it's funny. I feel bad for him,
Yeah.
Anyway, let's back up. So made chief in 2016, August. Had what I thought was a very close friend. He started out as a chief in Kodiak, and we went to Elizabeth City as a senior chief in the shop, and then I had to go work for him at the schoolhouse. But this dude was I don't know, either psychotic, jealous. When they put these, when the Coast Guard put these other people up, like for Master Chiefs, they really don't do any background check. It's kind of like there's no background check to see, hey, what do you do? Now they're doing a little better job, the Coast Guard. But when he made it, this dude had been involved in an accident in Traverse City as a third class and killed this local teacher up there.
Wow.
This guy's name was John Hall. Him and his buddies were out drinking, got a little sideways on her. They said, "Who's going to drive home?" I don't know what happened. It's kind of like that thing out of The Guardian. It's kind of like stupid because I saw it out of The Guardian. Like, oh, Fisher got a bad ride home. It's kind of how this went for this dude. Well, they went to pass the snow plow and they waffled and some lady killed him. The guy's from what the story I was told, the guy was on John Hall got banged up pretty bad. He was in the back seat. The actual husband went and kicked the shit out of him in the hospital, grabbed him off the bed, started slamming him down, which he had it coming. And I tell you what, I love to hear that story. And that's a story that, I don't know if it's in one of the records I got, because it was just a battle royale between me and him. But anyway, I'm like I'm going to go 100 different directions.
Hey, dude, we're cool with it.
The main thing I want everybody to get out of this is there are some real scumbags that I've been allowed to promote in the Coast Guard, and they're still around. So this guy's working for me. Well, my wife, my wife's my wife, right? Of course she's going to be attractive and she's going to be the best thing ever because she's my wife, right? Because I love her. He got real handsy with her several times. Really, really handsy. Above normal. If you want a lot of times, as us consumers, we're very affectionate people. We'll go up, we'll give hugs to the lives. But when you're running your hands up and down, somebody grabbing breasts, slapping asses, doing stuff like that, and it's hard for her to talk about it. So what he did to her would be considered abusive sexual contact. That's what he went to court martial for. So, but anyway, the problem was it wasn't like he did it one time. It was several times that he did this. And the first time he did it, it was at a party and it was witnessed. We have a strong brotherhood as rescue swimmers. We love each other. We don't want to see anybody get in trouble. But he did it in front of me, and he did it in front of his wife, a couple other people. And, talk about your world getting small is when your wife's being sexually, basically there's wrong shit going on. And you don't, as a man, you're very scared to say something because it could end your career, which it did, So, me being me, we kind of regrouped, me and my wife. We're like, what in the world just happened? I'm like, I'll never forget it. I was going to go after him, and somebody grabbed my arm and said, "Not right now, brother." And I'm like, what? And I still can't, and I have a good memory. Like to this day, remember who did that. It's kind of eerie and very eerie thing. I can't remember it, but somebody stopped me and "Not right now, brother." And I grabbed my wife, grabbed my kids, and she left. And I was designated driver. So I had to drive people home. By that time, he was just a complete, just slurring his words. And, I'm like, we're going to talk about this on Monday, pretty much asshole. He goes, "I'm a fucking Master Chief. Fuck you." I'm like, okay. I'm like, we're going to talk about this on Monday. So all weekend long, Monday morning I get in. I'm like, call him on the phone. I'm like, "We're doing lunch today." He's like, "You don't tell me what to do." I said, "Well, okay." So he's about an hour later, he's like, "I'll agree to go to lunch." And then he's like, "Just to let you know, I'm going to be your Master Chief. I'm your Master Chief at the schoolhouse. So this is going to die." And I'm like, "Look, dude, it's not about this. We're brothers. We're friends. Let's not have let's your wife's dying of cancer, jerk off. You know what I mean? Like, you're really going to go down this road, and pull the fucking rank thing?" I'm thinking, he's like, "I'm your Master Chief. We'll just die. Sometimes I do things I shouldn't do. And that's acceptable." Well, so I'm going to be your new boss. So what do you say then? Man, what do you do? I don't think anybody. I mean, you're just like, you've tried to deal with it. So you got to bury it, right? Mm. You got to bury it. If you want to have a career in the military, you've got to bury that feeling. You got to suck that up. You got to put it in a vault, and you got to go on and press on. So, of course, our relationship strained for the next probably close to over a year, and my wife's not going to function. She's having chronic diarrhea when she's got to go. Like, bad shit's going on with my wife, so physically and emotionally, because every time she goes around this fucking asshole, he's playing fucking doctor. He's like fucking handsy. You know what I mean? So, of course, you know, it only can go for so long. And, you know, I go over there as a chief, and I'm trying to be a chief. He's just blocking me every way he can from really just being a good chief. He's just blocking me. I'm not understanding why, you know. I'm like, what the fuck's the problem with this guy? He's like, everybody's got to learn to suck as being a chief. I'm like, first off, I run a business. If I said you got to have a suck to be in business, I would have no fucking employees, right? So
Shit.
I'm like, this guy's great leadership, you know what I mean? So now I'm just like, but now I'm not the best chief. I'm a fucking loudmouth. I'm going to tell you how it is, and that's what gets me in trouble. But if you want an honest answer, I want the honest answer, you know. I always think I'm like a 5-year-old mentality. I'm going to tell you the truth, right? You want to find out about something, ask a 5-year-old. They'll tell you the truth. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You know, the other day, I'm like, we're sitting in line at lunch, and, you know, got the 6-foot rule, and somebody says, oh, you're too fat to be next to one of the guys breaking my chops. And this kid looks up. I said, hey, bud, am I fat? He goes, you're big and fat. The mother was horrified. I was like, oh, shit. You know what I mean? So, of course, there's 8 guys behind me making fun of me now, you know, and we got our masks on, everybody, and the whole place is erupting, you know. Of course, me being me, I'm like, I got your lunch, kid. Thanks for hooking me up, you know. And the mother is just mortified, you know. But I think it's all in good fun. But anyway, so I digressed in my situation. But so this guy was your typical intrusive leader. And you ever heard that term, intrusive leadership? Have you heard that?
Probably a time or two. Okay. I've heard of shitty, like, dirtbags.
Okay, intrusive leadership is something the commandant says. And this guy, Charlie Ray, this vice commandant, that's a fucking moron.
Wait, does that mean forced leadership?
Intrusive leadership, right? They keep saying this, like this guy, Charlie Ray, the guy that got COVID, got all the other Joint Chiefs of Staff sick. It's fucking retard. You know, he's a hick from like Alabama. All the guys love him. I'm like, this guy's a fucking moron. You know what I mean? I'm like, listen to him talk. He's like, hey man, I'm gonna go fly this helicopter. And I got like 5. You got 5 fucking medals because you're we're probably a captain at an air station that I would have done as would have been a trainer for me, but you're a fucking retard. So anyway, all the guys get mad at me when I pick on this guy, but I really don't like him. I think he's a fucking dirtbag. So fucking true to God dirtbag, right? I'll call it like it is. Mm-hmm. You're welcome, Charlie Ray. So, so anyway, intrusive leadership. This guy is your true intrusive leadership. He wants to know everything about you and your family and how to use that. That's what intrusive leadership is. It's a military's tool to govern people. So they go in, they learn everything about you, all your deep, dark secrets. Hey, you know, Claude's not sleeping at night. I'm not sleeping at night because maybe somebody's fucking trying to accost General Sal's bone came up. Somebody's trying to mess with my life. Maybe I'm not sleeping because, you know, as a vet, maybe I got some baggage. Maybe I've seen some shit. Maybe I got some dead kids in my mind. You know what I mean? That I picked up when I was stationed somewhere. Maybe, you know, the dead guys know, like you had said before, it's about military health, right? That's where the problem is because you can't run to medical and be like, hey, I'm having a hard time. Because then you get hammered. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You get hammered. So my story is kind of unique. I'm trying to be a chief. I get this contractor, right? This guy, Roger Shivers, right? This dude is an old swimmer, and swimmers are a brotherhood, and we love each other. But when these old swimmers come around, they try to teach new swimmers that are 20 or 30 years younger. It doesn't work out that well because no kid wants to hear sea stories about how it was in 1974 in H3. They don't know what an H3 is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And now they don't know what a helicopter is until they graduate school. You know what I mean? So this guy is in the class, and my instructor's like, hey, he's a little unorthodox, but we kind of leave him alone. I'm like, a little unorthodox? But then the instructors are like, he's showing his penis in class. He's showing a scar up near his. I'm like, what? I'm a new chief, right, Pam? I'm like, hey, look. I'm like, hey, Roger, nothing for nothing. We got females in here that come to school. We got males. We got alternative lifestyle. Because a lot changed in the past 10 years in the military, which is cool as shit, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, let's not drop our pants anymore. You know,
Yeah.
let's not pull our pants down and show any scars or any special spots to the students, right?
Not the old
And I
guard.
kind of made it as as not coming at him as like you're not going to do this. And of course, him being a senior chief went to the and went to the master chief. Master chief's like, well, I think he's right. I'm like, do you think I'm right? You shouldn't be showing your penis. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, well, this guy had a huge problem with me. It erupted. He was going to kill me, gut me like a pig, run me over his motorcycle. This guy's just a train wreck of a human being. Shows up 2 doors down and starts writing in garden mulch that he loves some. I think he had the wrong. Anyway, he showed up 2 doors down writing in garden mulch love letters to people, and I'm like, this guy is here to harass me. So I call the cops. Right as soon as I call the cops, the command's like, they're like, Morrissey's a problem. I'm like, I'm the problem. I got a guy writing garden mulch 2 doors down that's threatened my life. And it just took a wild turn from there. And then, of course, the sexual harassment stuff's coming out, because now it's like, I'm like, I've been telling this guy to stop. He's not stopping. It just was a complete. The May and June of 2017 were by far the hardest time in the Coast Guard for me. And because everything came to a head all at once. They start questioning your mental stability. When you're in trouble, you could be a golden boy, and I was a golden boy for the longest time. But the second they have an avenue on you, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
You can't ever recover. You're never going to recover. It follows you, and they don't care about your mental. They really don't care about it. They just want the problems gone. The Coast Guard, when there's a problem, instead of addressing that problem, they're gone. Pam, I got videos of Master Chief Petty Officers. This guy, Destry Whithouse, says he does not know how to report a sexual assault. I'm pretty sure if I went to Cape May at the gate and said to a kid, you know how to report sexual assault as a seaman apprentice or seaman recruit, they would know how to do it. I guarantee it. And the problem is the Master Chiefs at the top, they get away with whatever they want because they think they're so special. So, in a nutshell, what I learned is don't ever speak up, because you're going to get in trouble. But that's not me, you know that. So,
Yeah.
I went down swinging.
Dude, I mean, good for you for speaking up. And look, I mean, you still got I hate to fucking say this, but you still got a retirement out of this.
Oh,
And
I know, and that's
I mean,
so funny you say that
it's
because
fucking crazy, dude.
look, Pam, I'm not lying, and I mean this with all sincerity. The VA's taking good care of me, and the Coast Guard's taking good care of me. I actually wake up and I'm like, holy shit. Like, they're paying me now more. They're paying me more now than I was when I was in. I was like, this is fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Like, this is like the paycheck of the month. You know what I mean? So, me being a ball buster, I mean, I really say that. And I tell you what, the Coast Guard is so full of good people. But if they could just spend a little bit more time doing prevention on things other than, that matter, your mental health, your like, okay, your mental health. And how about, throw a diet class in here somewhere for people, you know what I mean? Or how about, now how about helping people stop smoking? How about leading a whole healthy approach to it? A whole body, a whole mind, a whole healthy approach. I wish the military would adopt that, but they just want to use you up, then spit you out the other side. Mm-hmm. And that's where the VA comes in. Well, VA is supposed to be there to help you. That's their thing. Oh, the VA will help you. The VA will help you. And I'm not sure how your experience was with the VA. Is it good, bad?
It's been pretty bad. It hasn't been the greatest.
Really?
Yeah, more so with like disability claims and shit. That's been the hard part. But when I was in Chicago, the VA out there, the Edward Hines, was horrible. Dude, there was like human shit on the floor one day. I'm like, what is this? Yeah, it was nasty. And then come to find out, they had stored frozen bodies at the hospital that they never like did anything with. Like that it was just one of the worst VAs that you could possibly be a part of. Your girl was in there because I was stationed in Chicago. But I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie, there are some VAs that are good. Unfortunately, the biggest problem is getting somebody to answer the damn phone, or having them call you back with
So
results.
that's
But
so the thing that you have to do, and let me tell you something about these politicians. They're there to serve us. So any vets out there that are unsure of, call your fucking congressman. Hey, Congressman jerk off. Get off, and they have AIDS. Every congressman has AIDS, and not AIDS in the
not the sickness.
like HIV. They have AIDS. Most admirals have HIV, but because they're fucking like, what's that guy? Carl Schultz is a new admiral. What a fuck! If he don't have fucking dementia, I think he's got more dementia than Joe Biden. I swear to Christ. Like, I'm not bagging on anybody, but he's got dementia. He's got some Alzheimer's dementia. And I'm not picking on the man, but he's a fucking retard along with his cookie fucking master chief. What's his name? Fucking
I don't keep
whatever.
up anymore.
That scumbag. I'll get to him later. But anyway, so use your congressman. Call them up. It's a simple thing. Go online. It'll take you 5 minutes. Hey, congressman, whatever. I'm having, for me, my instance, I wasn't getting my VA disability rating. And I'm like, it's been like almost 2 years. I'm like, what? Okay, I know things take some time. Call them up. I call an admiral up. I'm not lying. The following week, they dump money in my account. And then try to figure that shit out when somebody puts like a large sum of money, like, umpteen $1,000 in your account. And you're like, fuck, the mob's coming for me or the cartel's coming for me because I got somebody's money. So, you got to play the game with the congressman. They're there to help you. They will help you. Their aides will get on. They will make calls. And then guess what? Once the Coast Guard or your military, they don't like dealing with Congress. That's how they get their money. They have to kiss Congress's ass. So once Congress calls, they make it happen. So use Congress. Don't use it for everything like me, because then they're like, oh, my God, here this guy is again. So let me get to the meat and potatoes where they really messed up with the Coast Guard. So I make all these claims, and I'm trying to just be cool, right? I'm sitting. They take me out of all my duties. I'm sitting in some. I was the guy with the red stapler in the basement at the training center, Elizabeth City. I was the guy at the basement with the stapler. I went from being like, hey, everybody, smoking and joking, popular, to the guy in the basement with the stapler. And I'm like, holy shit! Like, this is how it really goes, And all because they were trying to cover some stuff up for this dude. When I made the claim, they were just out to railroad me. Pam, they had me painting bollards in front of 270s. Black bollards as a chief petty officer. Some warrant came down, was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm painting bollards. But, I'm like, he's like, she shouldn't be doing this. I'm like, look, I'm just trying to stay out of any more trouble, dude. They tell me to paint this thing, I paint it. You know what I mean? I'm like, so basically, they put me in restriction for 45 days.
I saw that.
Before I even had a trial, had anything go on, because they deemed me as a threat. The guy got near my kid, purposely got near my kid. I said, listen, fuckface. I said, get the fuck out of here. You're not supposed to be here near my kid. He was at a car wash at the high school. And the guy's like, and he was such a fucking pussy. He had a gun. Fucking guy took a gun to a high school, which is fucked up. He had a gun in his holster and under his thing. I knew he carried his gun. We were friends. I'm like, if you think you're going to reach for that, I'm going to shove it up your fucking ass. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have a gun. I'm just a big dude. And he's sitting there shaking like shaking like a beaten dog. Like a dog that's going to get beat. Like, I'm like, you're a fucking pussy. And I walked away from him. I could have got shot in the back. I had a cast on my leg, too. I had a broken leg. I had a cast on my leg. I hobbled back. And then he tried to take off someone after him. That's where I got in trouble. And I kind of chased him and said, well, cops are coming, motherfucker. And he wouldn't do anything. And my language is too much. I have a lot of raw emotion, so everybody can fuck off, And I'm sorry, Pam. I hope you don't get censored because of this.
No, are you kidding me? We are so non-filtered. You're doing great. You're doing great.
So, long story short, to make a long story short, the captain calls me. And this guy, Lance Belbin, he's like 5 foot nothing. I think they used to put phone books like blocks on the helicopter pedals where you can reach it. You know what I mean? So you can sit in seats, car seats and shit. He is the biggest, shittiest. He is the biggest pile of shit I've ever seen. He only stands 5 foot high. You know, he really is a piece of shit. 06 type, just complete dick. You know, typical Airedale, fucking thinks he can do whatever the fuck he wants next to his XO. He's like, you need to stand down, Chief Morrissey. I'm like, well, we're going to have a fun conversation. You need to, that's all he kept saying. You need to stand down. I'm Captain Belbin. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever there. You know, I'm like, we're going to do something about this, you know? So long story short, they came and took me away the following week. They're like, you got to report to Portsmouth. All right, I got a child care issue. I got my kid here. So I made him wait till like 8 at night to drive me up there and just fucking playing games. I was in a very dark spot though. And they were hoping that I would just do something stupid again. But I played the game. You know, I went to my court martial for disrespect and all this other shit. Somewhere along the way, I told an admiral to fuck off or something like that. So Admiral Smith, he's running D5. And you want to talk about how shit floats in the Coast Guard? This guy, Admiral Smith, I didn't say 2 words to him. I said, I'm the only one being held accountable here. I'm like, that guy's career should end because his handle was so bad. They fucking got me out for disrespect for that. So, this guy Keith Smith's running D5 now. But I mean, so long story short is they will go at the Coast Guard to avoid bad publicity will stop at nothing. And you know this. You were on the receiving end as a veteran, right? I mean, once you got injured, were they nice to you?
No, I had a really bad stint at one of my stations where I busted my ankle. I had to have surgery, and I was on light duty for X amount of months, and I was stuck on radio. You know, I was doing watch, so I was in the radio watch room. But dude, I could feel it. Like it was just like, oh, just throw her on watch because that's all it was good for. And it just like wait till just do your thing, you know, whatever. Being a female on the opposite end, yes, like I've been harassed.
Oh my God.
I wasn't sexually harassed, but I was harassed to the point where my XO was like, I need to put a shock collar on you and your MK2 because when y'all get close, y'all always fight and y'all need to get separated. I'm like, you know, this is an issue. What are you gonna do about this shit? So yeah, I have my own shit.
Right? They made it about you, right? So, like you said, something follows you, right? And they made it about you that you're the problem. No, maybe you're the outside guy looking in. The outside gal looking in saying, hey, you know, okay, you broke your ankle. It happens. These things happen, right? I mean, so you stand and watch. That's great. You know what I mean? Support you. Give you the watch. I mean, you weren't avoiding your watches. You're doing what you're supposed to do, you know? This is crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I did get booked on the same booking shit. I had 2 petty officers.
For what?
I had 2 petty officers book me on the same booking shit because they said I was trying to get away with something. Because I had watched like on a Friday night, mid-watch, and I had all weekend off, but I had to get somebody to relieve me because I was sick. Like I was literally shitting my brains out. I had to go to the hospital, get IVs and stuff. And my senior chief's like, hey, this is the booking shit. What's going on? And I'm like, well, and I showed him my arms. I'm like, look at my track marks. I went to the hospital. I wasn't trying to get away with shit.
Yeah.
And I had a letter of accommodation. Yeah. Like that was a really good unit for me. And then all that shit happened. And then he's like, you know what? And then he just ripped it up in my face. He's like, you're good. Get out of here. I'm like, I know I'm good. Shit. Fuck. So
that's a senior chief, right?
That was a senior chief. That was an EM senior chief, actually. So
was he a good dude?
Yeah, he was a good dude because I was one of his engineers. So he's like, what the fuck is this?
Somebody looking out for you.
Yeah, you know, and it didn't happen all the time. But when the new captain came on board, that's when me and the other guy got into it, and the XO told us we need shock collars. I ended up leaving that unit with a 3 with working well with others on my marks. He gave me a 3 because we fought so much. I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? Like, I have a stellar, clean-ass record, and I'm going to get a 3. And for those that don't know, like, that's really not a good mark when it comes to evaluations and trying to get promoted and stuff. So I was just like, fuck, dude. Whatever. But anyways,
so Pam, they try to give me a shitty set of marks on the way out. And you're like, these marks will follow you. I'm like,
where?
I'm sitting there like this. I'm like, I go to the fucking guy. I go to the. So I'm already went through my summary court. I went summary court martial. Yeah, I told Adam to fuck off. I told this guy he's a jerk off. Yep, I kicked that desk. Yep, it all happened. Yep. Okay, can I go home now? I'm like, yeah, chief petty officer, Morrissey, you're restricted to Portsmouth for 30 more days. And the guy was really cool. And I'm like, he's like, you've been reduction, not reduction. The only thing they could have taken was my rank. They didn't do it. And long story short, I'm like, all right, you have to retire as soon as possible. You're gonna be fined this much money, but it was all suspended. They couldn't do anything to take a rank, and they didn't take the rank. So I was like, all right. I'm like, the guy's like, you're really cool. I'm like, yeah, because I know nothing. This means nothing now because you didn't take a rank. And the guy's like, and he was cool as shit. The guy was actually sawing through the bullshit. But I guess I don't know where I was going with that one, but I kind of got a little spacey there because I get excited talking.
You said your marks. They were trying to give you bad marks.
So they're like, you got to do your exit marks. You got to do your exit marks, right? I'm like, exit marks for who? I'm already working as a paramedic. I'm like, holy shit. Let me tell you something. I broke my leg shortly after my summary court martial. I broke my right knee doing a box jump, right? It's a Coast Guard ass. So long story short, I didn't go to work ever again. I was off for like 6 months because I was light duty or my leg was broke. And they're like, you got to get your marks in. I'm like, what are you guys hung up about these marks for? They're like, well, you got to get your marks in. It's got to be done. I'm like, fuck your marks. I never did them. And they're like, who? Like, your new boss will need them. They'll ask for them. I go, I'm my new boss, asshole. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need no fucking marks. You know what I mean? You and your fucking sevens and shit, So I'm like, I'm my own boss. They're like, oh, I'm like, I don't give a fuck about the Coast Guard anymore. I'm like, do me a favor and shut up, So they just keep messing with you until the very end, They like restricted me off bases and shit like that. I'm like, look, I'm not like your draw to go to Coast Guard Air Station Elizabeth City or base Elizabeth City is not there. You know what I mean? Like, I'll go up the other way and I'll go to a real Navy base that I actually have like shit to do, So, but they constantly mess with you, and then all of a sudden, boom, I'm like, I'm coming after you. I'm gonna be talking about this to people, and they're like, hey, fat kid, you're not gonna be talking this about anybody. Nobody gives a shit about you, And long story short, it freaking went up the other way. Like, I am talking to people. I have an avenue. I have all these avenues, such as you and this other one. They didn't have to go out or something like that. It's a Coast Guard one, and I don't think they aired it because I think I was pretty rude in there. But long story short, I don't really cut to the punch. I just really, my new thing is, I was bitter when I got out. Super, super bitter. And a lot of people could see it, everything that came up. I'm like, screw the Coast Guard, And I went to this thing. I'm going to get a little faith-based here. And they're probably like, oh, here we go, Jesus freak. I'm not a Jesus freak.
It's all good,
I love
man.
Jesus. I love Jesus. I have a very good relationship with God. I'm still Catholic, Getting into that, I was an altar boy and I was a Boy Scout and I made it through. So there's still some good people out there, even though I feel I should have a reverse discrimination because I didn't get touched. I think I should be rewarded because I didn't let anybody. Anyway, a little too deep there, but I feel like I was gypped in the true experience.
It's real talk.
Anyway, Pam, you can cut me off now. It's a different
you're
talk.
good, man.
So, anyway, I think I was going to go with this, but I went to this Operation Restored Warrior, and I'm going to do a little plug for them. About last November, Navy SEAL, some kid that was working for me, best kid ever. He's in the Navy now, Logan Monroe, one of the best human beings I've ever met. Learned a lot from the kid. His dad's retired, is a retired E9 SEAL, and long story short, he turned me on to this. Operation Restored Warrior. And I went out there for 3 or 4 days and I healed a lot of my scars and I let go a lot of my anxieties. And I feel reborn, I have a good understanding of my faith, which is awesome. And that's the only thing that saved me. And besides my wife, my family, these things are out there for veterans. And mental health is the most overlooked, um, underfunded. I'm going to put a band-aid. So I got this. Let's just picture it this way. When I got out, I was shot through and through, and all, mentally I was blown up. I was completely done, and the VA, all they try to do is put like a band-aid on it. And I'm gushing out of a major, major wound, and I'm like, and they're like, oh, but your wounds aren't physical. And you know what? But mental health is if you don't have your mind, if your mind's not right, your whole body's not going to be right. And thank God I found this group of people. Thank God my friend Ross turned me on to it. Thank God I have brothers that have went through it and sisters that have went through it. And we're starting a group and we're healing. And that's awesome. And thank God there's some rich people that want to do this for us, because and it's only a small percentage are able to go because there's such a need for it, And I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast with Matt Best. I think it's a Black Rifle Coffee guy. And they're like, Joe Rogan's like, if they're going to send you out to war and they're going to send you out to do, like, here you are. If they're going to send you out to, that's awesome. Yeah, I listen to their podcast. It's really good. And to hear them guys I feel like I'm rambling. I'm like, I hope I'm not. I'm thinking about this thing all week. I'm like, I'm really hoping I'll sound like these idiots when I'm on this show for Pam, because these guys are awesome, but they're just saying whatever the fuck they want. They're getting away with it. I'm like, I hope I'm a little more reserved. I hope I'm a little bit more reserved, and Pam doesn't get embarrassed. I'm like, she's probably like, I have this fucking melon head on there,
Dude, you're not the first melon head. You're good. I'm so used to it. It's not even funny.
It's a big melon head. But I was just telling them, they're like, you got to be able to pay the cost. The cost is if somebody goes through some traumatic shit, you got to fix them. You have to fix them. What's it like? Excuse me, less than 1% of us served America. Pay the ticket. I'm sorry, it sucks. You know what I mean? But pay up or shut up, or don't go to war. And or don't let people go out and boast and do dumb shit, because I was at war. Let me tell you something, Pam. We went through something unique. We were at war with the voting public of America. And you think Al Qaeda is bad? Freaking the voting public of America, they'll kill you sure than shit.
Who is at war? The station or what? What do you mean?
No, we're at war with America. We're at war with the voters, with the American voters.
Oh,
they're
you
terrible
said
people.
Boaters. I thought you said boaters, like boating.
No, boaters. Yeah, the motorboat. People on motorboat, they were trying to kill us at all costs.
Oh,
you know
shit.
what I mean?
You're okay.
All these people.
Right there with you.
My
right
there going to Sarkis, you're like, holy shit, what are you doing out here? It's like a hurricane. I'm out here catching speckled trout.
Yeah,
I'm allowed to be out here.
I see where you're going now.
Head for the shore, would you?
Fucking job security, dude. That was the only thing. It was like job security, and I didn't. It's funny you talk about that, because I shared it in my story. Like, before I got out, I worked a really shitty SAR case that fucked me up, dude. Just, it jacked me up.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to get help around that, and I had a fear around water, and here recently I've been able to overcome it. And people are like, really? I'm like, yeah, dude. Fucking panic attack and water is not fun when you love the water. There's something there. So, I know you've seen your fair share of a lot of shit, man. And I just want to thank you, man, for being Scuba Steve for us, because that's not an easy fucking job.
Scuba Steve. I tell you, it was these kids that come out now. They're faster, stronger, smarter, more put together than I ever was. Awesome. I just had, I had brute strength and really good looks. That's the only that saved my ass, back in the day. But I always try to have a little bit of humor with things, and that's what kind of kept my sanity, is being able to be, you'd be flying along in an A60 late at night, star case, maybe it's a flare sighting, or he's just punching holes in the sky, and you get the boat down below, and you're like, oh, them poor assholes, they're getting the shit kicked out of them. We're up here just loving life, and you're telling jokes, telling stories, but that is what I joined the Coast Guard to do is to provide the humor when you need it, and you know, the aviation as a whole and any life-saving service is just an awesome service to be part of. And the Coast Guard does so many things right for them. Like I tell my wife all the time, I'm like, don't judge them on this one or two events that happen to us, because there's so much good in the Coast Guard. And
Yeah, there really is.
it took us a while to warm back up to just being around Coast Guard people. And, we're in a big Coast Guard community here. And I got to kind of like always like be like, the Coast Guard is good and it is a good place, and they try really hard, and I get a little choked up the way it ended, but I'm still like, if I can change one thing, maybe nothing will come out of this ever with me, but at least we're having conversations with people like you that have the power to put it out there, and we can address, how to properly report sexual, because my thing is, I want my daughters to go to the military. I don't want them to deal with what you dealt with. I want them on a level playing field. If they want to join the military, I think everybody should on a level playing field, whether, whatever you're into, if you're male, female. I don't have a problem with anybody, transgenders, gays, whoever. And as long as you're serving your country, what's wrong with that? You know what I mean? That's awesome. And I think that we're missing that, or our own fears get in the way of that, of let's just let people that want to really serve and do a good job, and let's leave people alone. Yeah, is there time for discipline? Yeah, there's time for discipline, but let's let it be fair, let it be just, let it be standard across the board. And that's what my fight is to make sure that this doesn't go unnoticed, because this dude that did this wasn't his first time. I had a prosecutor come to me at my EMS station and talk to me on a Saturday and tell me that we don't really have enough evidence, even though we touched several people. We don't really have enough evidence to go on. I'm like, what evidence do you need? And that was tough. That was a tough thing. But, we all learn from it, right? So.
And I think it's still ultimately, what you're talking about is still going to ultimately go back to mental health. It's always going to go to it.
And you know what the thing, I don't think sad thing about it, if this dude maybe would have gotten help after maybe some other bad events had happened in his career, he wouldn't be on this freaking power trip to prove like I'm a dictator. You know what I mean? You don't have to be that way, Yeah. And it's all mental health. It's all like, hey, there should be check boxes. There should be, as you go up in the military, you should have to take classes for recognition of, warning signs and things like that. Like they should focus on veterans or active duty and start it young and be like, oh, it's okay to talk about your feelings. Back in the day when I was in Houston, I had some awesome guys I was stationed with, but you see a couple people that got blown up, cut in half, dead people, and I've always made jokes out of it when I got back, but I think the jokes were the way of me dealing with it. They're like, man, there'd be like a couple cases like, Claude, he's picking this dead guy up and, he's like making jokes in the hospital, right? And the flight mechanics had to deal with this, but we didn't know we were joking about it because we had no other avenue.
That's what we did.
We joked about it.
Yeah.
I mean, everything was, and that is a way that and I'm not saying it's bad, because humor does add a lot of, makes you feel good, right? But
yeah,
I think we could do a little better. We like to joke about everything, So
yeah, humor is just, when we joke about it, we're just deflecting so we don't feel it. We're naturally doing that, and I get it. Like I said, we had our dead guys and we trying to look for them, and we're just making morbid jokes. I'm like, dude, people are gonna think we're so evil right now.
I know.
If they heard some of the shit we said.
EMS is the same way though. I mean, as a paramedic, I'm like, they're even worse. They're just really son of the bitches, being a restroom in a Coast Guard, I walk into a hospital, the whole hospital stops. Like, oh, who's this stallion in this wetsuit? Who's this stud in this wetsuit? Here, I got a critical patient. He's got a stubbed toe and he's been out of sleep for 3 days and it might be gangrene. You're like, oh my God, I'll hit the trauma team. And this poor dude's laying over there. He's got half his arm is missing from a weed whacker accident. And he's like, "Hey, can I get a little band-aid here?" And they're like, "Shut up, the Coast Guard's here." You know, and they're like, "Kidding me?" You know, these two F-18 pilots ejected off the coast, and we're coming to Norfolk and Terror, right? And these two dudes are. It's funny. I took their boots from them because I knew they'd try to walk off the helicopter. I'm like, I gotta check your feet out. You know, the guy in the part like, what's this weird guy into? But I took their boots off. They had their flight suits on because they're ejected in the ocean. You know, get him in the helicopter. Other swimmer goes the other two. It was crazy. It was just a crazy, crazy experience. You know, and there's like we're landing and there's like news crews. There's 100 people lined up to find out what the hell's going on here. You know what I mean? And but that's how it is. You know, these guys are fine, but some poor dude just got mowed over on the freaking highway and he's like laying there bleeding out. But just because helicopters are way cool. Just remember that.
Well, the 60s are pretty badass.
God, I miss one. I do miss. I have dreams. People say I'm kind of weird. I'm like, I'm like, Elizabeth, I jumped out as a swimmer again. She's like, you still are a swimmer. I'm like, no, I couldn't be a swimmer now anymore. But I had a dream I was jumping out of a helicopter.
Yeah, I don't think those ever go away because I still dream about being back on the boats and stuff all the time.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All the time. It's weird. It's so weird.
It's awesome. I think it's good dreams or bad dreams.
It was really bad there for a while, and now it used to be like it was always trying to recover a body, and it would always be just somebody you're trying to save somebody, and we never got to them in time. And then it started, and then when I started working on my stuff and healing, we were able to rescue people. It was the weirdest shit. And now I just have dreams like I'm back on the boat or something, just fucking around. So there's progress in that. You know, it's weird, but it happens. Let me ask you this, because it real quick. You know, we're kind of wrapping up here. I was reading that in 2000 and correct me if I'm wrong. 2013, you were Geico's Military Member of the Year, right?
You know what shit I got for that?
You guys, man, Claude, I didn't even like really work with you, but the little bit that I did, I freaking loved you, dude. So yeah, I can imagine how much shit you got for that.
So yeah, I got like, oh, you want to be a Geico guy, huh? Where's the lizard? You know, I had some good officers put me in for that. They realized that I wasn't just doing, like, as a swimmer, you want to be the guy in the hook, right? You're like, I want to be out there saving everybody. I'm the guy jumping in the ocean. I'm ultra, you know, I'm Scuba Steve, you know, and we're not, you know what I mean? Like I always thought, like, I want to invest in training people. I love training people. I love being around new people that are interested in the Coast Guard and being able to, you know, young petty officers that want to learn. Like, I always try to teach them teaching my rate, you know, life support equipment. And anybody can jump out of a helicopter and look cool because it's just a cool thing to do, no matter if you do a face plant or at a static display or a SAR demo somewhere, you know, and it's happened. If you do backflips, whatever, like, things are really cool with the helicopter. But I always try to tell them how, like, you sound kind of weird, but I enjoyed mentoring young petty officers. That was my favorite thing to do. And whether you're a non-rate and you're coming up, because think about it, your experience, I don't know how you felt Cape Cod, but I always want to make everybody feel like, because my son's going to the military, so my biggest fear is somebody going to look out for my son. You know, is somebody that's in charge of my son, are they going to look after him? And that's my biggest fear. You know what I mean? And that's what I always thought with people. I'm like, you know, as I got older and I wasn't stupid, like jumping out of, you know, doing stupid shit. As I matured, I felt like I'm in charge of these people's families. Somebody loves this kid, you know, he's going to go home and say, Dad, I met the coolest, biggest, fattest rescue swimmer I've ever met. Or he's going to be like, I met the biggest douchebag rescue fattest, this fat ass. You know what I mean? And I always want to be on the first part of it. Like, how cool it is. Like, the guy's cool, man. He took time to talk to me. Because I remember when I was a non-rate, I wanted to talk to rescue swimmers or a flight mechanic, you know? And I think that's what really, you know, if you can set that aside, if you can treat everybody as if it's your own son or daughter, you're going to have a great experience, you know? And you won't have the need for, you know, douchebags that cause mental trauma to us that we have to deal with for the next umpteen years of our life trying to get over it, because words hurt. Words hurt,
Yeah.
So that's me saying it. I love breaking chops, but so.
Well, I really enjoy talking to you because I'm very much like you. Like no filter.
Yeah,
You're what you see is what you get, and yes, it gets me in trouble sometimes, but at least you know who you're gonna get every time. You know?
you're gonna get an honest answer. You
Yes.
know,
And
you
the
got to plug for some sponsors, kid.
hey
You need some
man,
sponsors.
I do need sponsors. Maybe you can be my first one.
Wait,
I'm dead serious. We're gonna have to look at this stuff. So,
let me check it out. I have to just sell my swag, sell all the like Morrissey stump guy apparel. Look at that. Look at that.
dude,
You get
hey,
the task shirts with the shirts. I'll send them over to
I
you.
will, I need some new apparel. I'll totally take some swag.
Sweatshirts. I mean, it's funny because Morrissey Stump Grind, like people are like, is that a strip club? I'm like, what? Who in the? Somebody asked me that like last week. They're like, where's that strip? Because I had a 508 number on it. I'm like, this is my old phone number. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Some guys like, that's a really cool strip club. I'm like, you've been to this? Because I want to know where it's at. You know what I mean? So I'm like, God, the fucking perverts are all over.
Morrissey
Man. You gotta
stump
watch.
grinding. Yeah, I definitely need to wear some of your swag then. Hell
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'll send it to you right now. So, but
well, I have one last question or two last questions before we wrap up here.
oh,
What if there was yeah, I'm really curious about this more specifically for the ladies. Okay? Younger kids and you have daughters. You said, you want them to feel safe when they go in and all this as a dad. What would you tell these women that want to join the service and even men, from a male's perspective, what to do so that they don't feel like they don't have a voice if shit like this happens?
so I had a good senior chief cowback that I confided a lot in this whole thing. If something's not right, you have to speak up. If something's not right, no matter like telling the truth, right? You have to speak up. You have to speak truth to power. You don't have to be an asshole, and I was an asshole. That's what got me in trouble. So let's not mix words. I'm innocent. The way I went about it was wrong. If you know your rules, you follow the rules, and you follow their chain of command, they can't cover it up anymore. If you don't get the answer you want, there's a boss above your boss. There's a command above your command. Eventually, it will get out in the right way. So you have to speak truth to power. Now, that being said, there's a way to do it respectfully. I didn't really have that tack down. Don't follow my lead. You know what I mean? I'm like the Leroy Jenkins of this, like Leroy Jenkins goes running in, like, holy shit, he blew the plan. If I had followed the playbook, I would have been, I would have been still in the Coast Guard. Probably still would have been jumping out of helicopters and doing cool things. So, but I'm still doing really cool things. But, and for your leaders out there, if you're not taking care of your people in your charge and you're being an intrusive asshole leader, you should know your people. Like they should know your people. I shouldn't have to go have this awkward conversation like, hey, I'm your boss. Like I know all my guys that I work with every day, the 8 guys I have, I know what's important to them, what's important, what's not important, what needs to happen. And now I got new guys that I have to learn. And that's just the 8 guys I have working for me. And I know what makes them drive, what makes them tick. And you have to use that to your advantage, and take care. Most of all is if you're a leader, you got to take care of the people as if they're your own. They're your own. You know what I mean? Your own family, because they are your family. They're the ones who are going to make or break you. So that's kind of where I go with it. I want my son's getting ready to carry on a tradition. He wants to join the Navy, wants to be a CB, which is awesome. I'm like, hey, bud, there's this thing called the Air Force, maybe the Army engineers. He's like, CBs are awesome. And I'm hearing all the Coast Guard jokes. Hey, Dad, I went to the Coast Guard. I'm a little too tall for him. I'm like, shut up. You know what I mean? I got a
Already?
couple baby vets. Oh, it just rides my ass.
Dang.
So,
No,
kids.
we were on paddle boards the other day, and one of the guys, he's a Marine, and it was like all veterans and some civilians. It's like, man, it's like the ATF. It's the gym I go to. He's like, it's like the ATF Navy. And then he looked at me. He's like, we got this coastie over here. I'm like, dude, you better shut up or I'm put you in the do not save list. He's like, what?
I know.
Like, I'm just fucking with you, dude.
Freaking Navy guys. Or Marines.
Marines. And then, well, last question. And only because you kind of.
Hit it.
All right. Music. Has music helped you or helped save your life? And if so, how?
Music?
Yeah, music.
Oh, shit. Yeah, man. Everybody's got a mantra song, right?
What's yours?
You know? Oh, man. I mean, I love some Pantera. You know, just 'cause maybe we're talking about Pantera. We've really gotten a Motley Crue. Music saves my life almost daily because it's such a vent. It's such a way to, just if your heart can't get going over like some Motley Crue or something like that, it's just, I'm not saying Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, shit like that. Like I'll even listen to Air Supply. I'm like, damn, that was such a good song. What a shitty group, Air Supply. But like Patrick Swayze, he's got a song. Like, I don't know. I think music does save my life. I mean, I've been in helicopters. I remember doing my final multis in being a rescue swimmer in that little ass pool in Elizabeth City, and I'd be singing a song in my head. Maybe it was Journey, or like just. Music is so damn important. Like, I don't even watch, I'll do podcasts and I try to dig in for, I was listening to Joe Rogan's, she had Miley Cyrus on. She's like, I did the Edge of 17. So I've been searching all day for Miley Cyrus singing the Edge of 17.
Stevie Nicks' Edge of 17?
Yeah, she got permission from Stevie Nicks to do it. I'm like,
dude, I gotta find
where
that.
is this song at? You know what I mean?
I need to find that.
I know. And I'm like, I thought Miley Cyrus, I think of Hannah Montana. I was like, she's Hannah Montana. I was standing duty when she was, in Houston. We used to make fun of her. But now she's like this. Anyway, music is so important. Yeah, I love music. Music saves my life all the time. Driving on the road. I mean, right now, I go jump in my truck and listen to music. Gotta have a good system,
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Gotta buy the best.
Hell yeah. And the reason I ask all my guests that. The reason I asked is because I put music to people's stories. That's my mission. Because somebody decided to share their story through music. It helped me take suicide off the table. Because I got to that dark place about 6.5 years ago. Oh, yeah, dude. I was like, all I had to do is plan it. I was fucking ready.
That's hard. I remember I was just like, and it wasn't, it's so hard to talk about suicide, right? It's so hard to to be were you ever thinking of suicide? So you go to the doctor, are you thinking of hurting yourself? And you have to have that moment where you're like, I need help. I need to say the right word here. And you just hope that person is going to be, or recognize it. They put me through 3 psyche valves, and that in itself, they put me through 3 psyche valves in like a month, 2-month period, and that was, you start doubting what's normal and what's not normal. And that's their tactic to mess with you. So when I was in restriction, I listened to a lot of music. I would just lay there. I had a broken leg, I had a broken foot, and I would just lay there and listen to music. And I'd be like, okay, I can get through this. I have my earbuds in, and I could escape the reality for the moment till I get back to my family, until, just through music, and it helped me out a lot, so, but kind of weird to say that, but I know where you are. I know the dark places you're in, how depression works,
Mm-hmm.
People just be happy. Fuck off, motherfucker. I'm fucking hurting over here, I'll take a fucking another broken leg over dealing with this shit,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and we just want to get rid of that stigma, and the big stigma about, if you go get help, you may not have a job tomorrow. That's a big one.
It's so funny because this has been coming up a lot lately, and the mental health is for veterans is so overlooked and so underfunded, and we need to get more groups like Operation Restored Warrior on the table and getting people back to where, whatever you choose, faith-based or whatever you're maybe we can start a foundation like the music foundation and just like like maybe there's a way out there,
Well,
and get some of these big, you know.
it's funny you say that because I've got some exciting thoughts I'm going to share with you once we get off, if you have some time. And
Yeah.
I'd love to bring you in and just kind of let you in on what's been kind of happening behind the scenes with this podcast. But yeah, man, thank you again, Claude. We're gonna wrap up just because I know you got to get back to your family here in a minute and stuff. But thank you so much for being here. I love catching up with you,
Thank you.
bullshitting.
That was awesome.
Absolutely, and you can come back anytime. I tell that with all my guests, anytime.
You know what? I'll be on there weekly. I'll be like that house guest that never leaves.
You mean you'd be like herpes?
Like herpes. No, I watched Trailer Park Boys. It's more like crabs, just show up. You know what I mean? So, herpes is the gift that keeps on giving.
That's very true. All right, well, let me just hang tight, and I'm gonna sign off with my listeners here. So, guys, if you, this is what it is, man. I mean, I love just getting on these podcasts and catching up with some old shipmates and fellow coasties and just bullshitting, man, and any veteran for that matter. It's a lot of fun. So, if you guys love this episode, make sure you tune in, you subscribe, you follow all major platforms, the YouTube channel. This episode's going to be uploaded here very soon. And if something in this story hit you in particular, email me at 2200taps, 2200taps.com. Or at gmail.com, excuse me. I want to know your story. If you want to be a guest, let's go, baby. But until then, have a good night and peace out.